"I need a new car you'll co-sign," my sister texted. I replied, "Dream on." Minutes later, my father wrote in big letters, "Refuse and you're cut off from family events." That night, I called the bank and canceled their shared credit line. By 7:30 a.m., 36 missed calls piled up. It was a boring Thursday. Nothing special about it. I was sitting at my desk going through invoices when my phone buzzed. One of those long, self-important vibrations that usually meant trouble. It was a message from my sister. "I need a new car. You'll co-sign." No greeting. No explanation. Not even a question mark. Just a demand, like I owed her something. For context, I'm Lucas, 32. Work in logistics. I own my house. I pay my bills on time. And I've worked for every single thing I have. My sister Hannah is 28, still lives with my parents on and off, has had 6 jobs in 3 years, and burns through money like it's nothing. But because she's loud, dramatic, and good at crying in public, she's always been treated like the victim. Always. I stared at her message. I actually laughed. Then I replied, "Dream on." I didn't expect a reply from her. I expected her to go running to my parents, though. Right on cue. 10 minutes later, I got a message from my dad. All caps. "Refuse and you're cut off from family events." That was it. "No, can we talk?" "No. Let's figure this out." Just an ultimatum. Now, for most people, that kind of text might sting. For me, it was the final push I didn't even know I was waiting for. I stood up, walked straight to the kitchen, poured myself some coffee, and called the bank. There was a shared credit line I had with my parents, something I'd reluctantly agreed to open a couple years back during a guilt-heavy Thanksgiving dinner where everyone made it sound like I was the stable one and should be helping out more. My sister had already maxed it once, bought herself a high-end espresso machine and a $1,200 coat for job interviews. The bank said I could shut it down immediately. I didn't even blink. I signed the forms digitally, confirmed the closure, and had them send the termination notice to my email. Next morning, I woke up to 36 missed calls. 12 from Hannah, 9 from my dad, 8 from my mom. The rest were various cousins and one aunt who apparently just wanted to check in. I didn't answer any of them. I just let it all ring out. But here's what none of them wanted to admit. This wasn't about a car. This was about control. For years, I'd been treated like a resource. The responsible one. The calm one. The one who wouldn't fight back. They thought I'd cave like always. But not this time. You want history? Let's go back. 3 years ago, Hannah punctured 2 of my tires because I refused to let her borrow my car to drive to some music festival. She didn't even deny it. She posted a photo of my flat tires on her Instagram story with laughing emojis. My parents told me I was overreacting when I demanded they make her pay for the damage. They didn't even make her apologize. But the breaking point was last Christmas. We were having dinner at my parents' place. They had begged me to come after I initially said no. And midway through dessert, Hannah started one of her meltdowns. Something stupid about how I never support her dreams. She started screaming. I told her to calm down. She threw her drink at me. I stood up, walked into the kitchen, grabbed the scissors off the counter, came back, and cut off a chunk of her hair. The hair she obsessed over for years. Everyone froze. She screamed like someone had shot her. My mom cried. My dad stood there silent. And me? I was calm for the first time in years. They kicked me out. Told me I had gone too far after inviting me, after she threw wine in my face. But I was the one who went too far. Fast forward to now. She wrecked the car I gave her. One of my 2 cars. I gave her the older one because she was unemployed and my parents were struggling. And not a single thank you, just complaints about the AC and Bluetooth. Then she wrecked it because she was texting while driving. And instead of owning it, she blamed the brakes. Now, she wants me to co-sign for a brand new car. And when I say no, I get threatened. Nah, That was the last time they got to pull that move. Because what they didn't know was I wasn't just saying no. I was gearing up for a long, deliberate revenge. Not petty revenge, smart revenge. Starting with cutting the credit line. Then came the next move, and they never saw it coming. The silence after I killed the credit line didn't last long. By noon that day, the group chats were exploding. My mom sent a message in the family thread. "Lucas, we need to talk as soon as possible. This isn't like you." I left the chat. Not left the conversation. Left the chat entirely. Removed myself. That afternoon, I called a tow company and asked them to pick up the 2014 Camry I had signed over to Hannah. Well, sort of signed over. I never transferred the title officially. That was my safety net. I'd paid for that car, insured it under my name, and she was just borrowing it until she got back on her feet. Except she'd been getting back on her feet for 18 months. They towed it from the front of my parents' house. She had parked it there while pretending she was saving up for a down payment on something better. I guess better now meant convincing me to buy her a Tesla. She called me the moment she saw the empty driveway. I didn't answer. Instead, I sent her a photo of the car back in my garage. Then I turned off my phone for the rest of the day. That night, my cousin Jake texted me from his work number. He's one of the few in the family who sees things for what they are. "She's been flipping out all day. Screamed at your mom. Your dad tried to call me to talk some sense into you." I told him, maybe it's time someone put Hannah in her place. That was the first time in years I felt like someone in the family finally got it. The next morning, I drove to work and found a post-it on my windshield. "Petty. Grow up." Handwriting I'd recognize anywhere. Hannah's. Which was rich coming from someone who once poured soda into my laundry because I snapped too hard at her for stealing my laptop charger. I knew what would come next. The manipulation phase. When the tantrum didn't work and the threats didn't work, she tried the sympathy card. Sure enough, 2 days later, my mom called. I answered this time. Mostly out of curiosity. She said Hannah was having a breakdown and that I needed to be the bigger person. I asked her if she remembered the tire incident, the hair, the dinner she begged me to attend before throwing me out. She went quiet. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Well, you know how she is, but she's family." And I replied calmly, "So am I." Then I hung up. That Sunday, there was a birthday party for one of our younger cousins. I wasn't invited. Jake texted me a photo from it. Hannah was there telling everyone I had stolen her car. She left out the part where I paid for it. The insurance, the maintenance, the registration. She left out the part where I'd warned her months ago that if she didn't start contributing something, even gas, I was taking it back. But I wasn't surprised. What did surprise me was that Aunt Valerie pulled her aside in front of everyone and asked loudly, "Why don't you have your own car by now?" Apparently, the look on Hannah's face could have cracked concrete. The family was starting to split. Lines were being drawn, and I wasn't finished. Not even close. Because if they wanted to play dirty, I was about to show them how deep I was willing to dig. About a week after I took back the Camry, things got quiet. Too quiet. No texts, no voicemails, not even a passive-aggressive meme sent through our mom's Facebook account. I knew that wasn't a good sign. Silence in our family never meant peace. It meant someone was scheming. Then, Jake sent me a heads up. Hannah was telling people I had emotionally abused her for years, and that I'd always acted like I was better than everyone. She was rewriting our history like it was a bad Lifetime movie. According to her, she was the black sheep, always trying to please a brother who never supported her. Funny, because I still had the receipts from the time I paid off her credit card debt just so she wouldn't destroy our parents' credit when she opened an account in my dad's name. Still, I knew what this was. It was all leading to one thing. She was trying to build a narrative to guilt the rest of the family into isolating me. What she didn't know was that some of them were already calling me to say they were sick of her too. Uncle Dennis called me one night half whispering from his garage like he was making a drug deal. "She's gotten worse, man. Your dad tried to bring up the car thing, and she started crying before he even finished his sentence. You did what had to be done. That was when I decided to strike a little deeper. I was going to remind her, and everyone else, what happens when you push someone who's already got nothing left to lose. I made a call to a local auto auction I had connections with. I put the Camry up for sale. It sold in 2 days. Cash. No trace. No way she'd ever get it back. I sent her a text with the confirmation photo of the car being loaded onto a truck. Sold. Don't worry. You won't have to be embarrassed by my car anymore. No reply. 3 days later, Jake sent me a picture from Hannah's Instagram story. It was a throwback photo. Her in high school flipping her long chestnut hair dramatically by the beach. Caption. It always grows back stronger. Just like me. So now we were bringing that back. The infamous haircut. They never got over it. Not her, not my parents, not even my grandma. The family loved pretending it came out of nowhere. Like I just snapped and went all Edward Scissorhands in the middle of dinner. What they always conveniently forgot was that Hannah threw a glass of wine in my face first. That she screamed at me in front of a table full of people, called me a control freak, and said I'd never be loved because I was too cold. I remember standing there dripping red wine, everyone silent, no one defending me. And I remember walking into the kitchen, picking up the scissors, walking back to her, and cutting 6 inches off the hair she spent years babying. The sound of the scissors closing snip was the only thing anyone heard for 10 seconds straight. That was my revenge then. And it worked because Hannah stopped speaking to me for months after that. The peace was glorious, but they kicked me out of the house that night. My own parents, even though they were the ones who invited me in the first place. Now here we were again, a different situation, but the same pattern. She pushed. I pushed harder. And then came the message that told me she hadn't learned a single thing. It was 2:15 a.m. when it came through. Just 2 words. You'll regret this. The last time she said that, my tires were slashed. This time, I was ready. I checked the security cameras on my house. All clear. But the next move wasn't going to be hers. It was mine. Because she and my parents still had keys to my house. That was about to change. By now, I didn't sleep easily. I wasn't paranoid. I was prepared. After Hannah's late night, you'll regret this message. I knew the countdown had started. She wasn't someone who threatened and then waited. She always acted fast, stupid, and loud. So I took the morning off work and drove straight to the hardware store. New locks, reinforced deadbolts, and a fresh set of smart cams for the backyard. I paid extra to have a locksmith come that same afternoon. By 3 p.m., every lock was changed. It felt symbolic in a way I didn't expect, like I was sealing off a part of my life, but I wasn't even close to done. That evening, I found something unexpected. An envelope jammed into my mailbox. No postage. Handwritten with my name. It wasn't from Hannah. The handwriting was too neat. I opened it slowly, already expecting some dramatic plea from my mom. But it wasn't a plea. It was a copy of a letter Hannah had written to our parents. She had written it weeks ago, before the car incident even started. I read every line like it was a confession. She had planned everything. The text, the manipulation, even the meltdown. She told them that if she could get me to co-sign, she'd let me think she was grateful just long enough to get the car. Then she'd ghost me. She wrote, "He's soft. He acts like he's cold, but he's desperate to be liked. He'll cave. He always does. Once I get the car, he can go back to pretending he has boundaries." There was more. Lines about how she deserved a win, and how I owed her for all the times I made her feel small. I didn't realize I was gripping the paper until it nearly tore in my hands. There was no signature, but at the bottom, in small print, was another handwritten line. "You didn't get this from me, but I'm tired of watching you take the fall. Jake." I stared at it for a while, then folded it back neatly and slid it into my safe. And just like that, Whatever guilt I might have had left about the car, the credit line, or even the haircut vanished. They were planning to use me again. But now I had proof. That night, I got a call from my mom. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was almost laughable. She said the family was discussing an intervention, that Hannah was going through a hard time, and that she hoped I could find it in my heart to come over this weekend and talk things through. I sat in my kitchen listening to her voice, drinking a coffee like I was watching a documentary about someone else's life. Then I remembered the spare key and the fake rock near the porch. I stepped outside to remove it. The second I lifted the rock, I saw it was gone. My stomach dropped. Someone had already taken it. I bolted back inside, checked the security app. There it was. Motion detected. 2:48 a.m. the night before. A figure creeping up to the porch. No Tana. It was my dad. He looked around, took the key, and left. No knock, no massage, just a silent move like a thief. The next day, I installed an alarm system and set the notification for all entries. Then I changed the Wi-Fi password. I was done, but I wasn't going to confront them. I had a better plan. And it started with a little family barbecue the following weekend. An event I wasn't invited to, but one I planned to attend anyway, as a guest of someone else. And I wasn't coming empty-handed. That Saturday, the skies were painfully perfect. Blue, cloudless, warm. The kind of day people post about with cheesy captions and grilled corn. The family barbecue was being held at Uncle Rick's place. He's the type that shows up twice a year, drinks everyone's beer, and pretends to be Switzerland when things go sideways. But he'd always liked me better than Hannah. Said it was because I kept my mouth shut until it mattered. So when I texted him Friday night and said I wanted to come, he didn't hesitate. Show up, no drama. But if anything goes down, I didn't invite you. Got it? I told him I'd be invisible. I lead. I arrived 30 minutes late, wearing sunglasses and a grin. Half the family did double takes. My mom looked like she'd seen a ghost. Hannah stared at me like she was trying to set me on fire with her eyes. I walked past her, grabbed a soda, said hi to Jake and Uncle Dennis, and sat down under the pergola like I owned the place. 10 minutes in, everyone was pretending it wasn't weird that I was there. Conversations shifted around me like I was furniture. Someone turned on a Bluetooth speaker to play music, and people started to relax. That's when I made my move. I had my own Bluetooth speaker in my backpack. Just a tiny one. Nothing flashy. I synced it to my phone and queued up an audio file. It was a recording, not of a conversation. Something better. It was me reading Hannah's letter. The one I'd found in the mailbox. Every word, I had matched the tone. Calm, flat, unmistakable. I waited for a moment of quiet. Then, switched the connection. The song cut off. Then my voice filled the yard. He's soft. He acts like he's cold, but he's desperate to be liked. He'll cave. He always does. Heads turned. Once I get the car, he can go back to pretending he has boundaries. The silence was instant. A few people looked confused. Jake locked eyes with me. Then the rest of the letter played. Every line. Every smug little sentence. When it ended, I stood up and turned off the speaker. No one said a word. My mom asked if it was fake. I didn't answer. My dad started to say something, then stopped. And Hannah? She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just walked into the house. 5 minutes later, she left. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. People kept eating, but the vibe had collapsed. Conversations turned low and suspicious. I saw 2 cousins whispering while glancing toward my mom. Jake came over and handed me a beer. Wasn't expecting a whole speech, he said. I shrugged. Sometimes, people need help hearing themselves. That night, I went home, locked the door, and put my phone on silent. But around midnight, I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "You win this time." No name, but I knew who it was. She wasn't giving up, and that's why I had one last thing to do. The final step. Because even after all of it, They still had a copy of my house key. And after what I saw on the camera feed a few nights later, I knew I couldn't trust any of them. 3 days after the barbecue, I got home from work and found a footprint on my welcome mat. Not dirt, mud. My neighborhood's bone dry. No rain for a week. I checked the cameras. 1:70 a.m. Someone walked up the steps, tried the handle, stood there for 2 full minutes, then left. They didn't knock. They just tried. But what stood out wasn't the figure. It was what they were holding. A paper grocery bag. Something inside it. Small, light-colored, maybe folded clothes, maybe something else. Something they were planning to leave. Or maybe take. The cameras weren't high-res enough to catch a face. But I didn't need one. Because 2 hours later, I got a text from my dad. I don't want to be in the middle anymore. But she's your sister. I didn't reply. I just stared at it until the screen went black. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was afraid, because I was done. Done with the idea that I was the one who had to be reasonable. That I had to forgive people just because we shared DNA. The next morning, I called the locksmith again. This time, I replaced everything. Front door, garage, back entrance. Even the lock on the inside door to the laundry room. I changed the alarm code. Changed the garage code. Called the smart home company and deactivated all previously used fobs. They were out. All of them. That weekend, I sent one group text. Just one. Effective immediately. No one is to enter my property. If you have a key, it is now useless. This is not a discussion. I'm done being your doormat. I didn't say I still love you, or please respect this. I wasn't asking for anything. Jake texted back within a minute. Finally, Uncle Dennis gave me a thumbs up emoji. That man doesn't even use emojis. My parents didn't respond. Neither did Hannah. But I did get one unexpected text later that week. From my grandma. I don't understand everything, but I trust you. That one hit harder than I expected. Now it's been a few months. No more calls. No visits. No surprise footsteps on my porch. I haven't blocked anyone. But the silence has become its own kind of message. I heard through Jake that Hannah tried to get another car. This time on her own. She failed the credit check twice. Ended up buying an ancient used hatchback with cash from one of her wellness coaching gigs. Jake sent me a picture. She had named it Karma. I didn't laugh. I just deleted it. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not planning anything. No more speeches. No more proof. No more performances. The locks are changed. The door is shut. And for the first time in a long, long time, it's quiet. The good kind. The final update. If someone had told me a year ago that I'd go months without talking to my parents, that I'd walk away from my sister completely, that I'd shut the door, literally and figuratively, on everything I used to call family, I would have laughed. I'd always been the one who smoothed things over. The one who apologized first even when I wasn't wrong. The one who gave and gave because I thought that's what you were supposed to do when you loved people. Turns out love without respect is just manipulation with better PR. What happened with Hannah? Yeah, it started with a car, but it wasn't about the car. Not really. It was about years of one-sided expectations. About me being treated like a bank account and a punching bag rolled into one. It was about how my parents raised her to believe the world owed her something, and raised me to believe it was my job to provide it. And the worst part? I believed it for a long time. I thought keeping the peace meant keeping quiet. I thought saying no made me cruel. I thought boundaries were for people who didn't care. But when I finally stopped bending, everything snapped. And here's the truth. They didn't fall apart because I walked away. They fell apart because I stopped playing the role they needed me in. The one where I always came through. Even when I was being used. Even when I was being lied to. And the fallout? It didn't destroy me. It freed me. Now, months later, the quiet in my life isn't cold. It's clean. My days don't revolve around checking my phone with a sense of dread. I don't second-guess myself when I spend money on something I want. I don't lie awake at night, rehashing conversations where I tried to justify a boundary that should have never been up for debate. I rebuilt my home the way I rebuilt my peace. Loch by loch, choice by choice. I got new routines. I got time back. I got space. Physical, emotional, mental. To finally ask myself who I was outside of their chaos. And you know what's wild? I don't miss them. Not really. I miss the idea of them. The version of my parents I used to imagine when I was a kid. The ones who would protect me, back me up, hold everyone to the same standard. The version of my sister who might have grown into someone who didn't lie to get ahead, who didn't weaponize guilt like it was a hobby. But that version never existed. I made them up because I needed to believe family meant something more than shared history and holiday photos. Turns out, it doesn't. Family isn't who you're stuck with. It's who shows up when it doesn't benefit them. It's who respects your boundaries even when it inconveniences them. It's who tells the truth even when it's hard. Right now, that's Jake. That's Uncle Dennis. That's a couple of friends who sent me frozen meals when they heard I was cutting ties and told me they were proud of me. That's me. I'm not bitter. I'm not plotting some dramatic comeback or hoping they call with some perfect apology that makes everything all right. Because I don't need an apology anymore. I just needed my life back.